So good afternoon, Leire, and welcome.
Good afternoon.
You're a policy officer at DG Connect. You're representing the European Commission. And you work in cloud and software policies, defining them, implementing them across Europe. And you also focus on collaboration between technology on the one hand and business teams, and made several significant contributions to these endeavors. You're also finally actively involved in community projects that promote digital uptake and security. So thanks for being here. And maybe for a first question, we'll zoom in into data spaces. Data spaces are becoming increasingly significant in the context of data sharing and collaboration. Could you explain in your own words what data spaces are? How do we define them? And also discuss how they can enhance interoperability in the public and in the private sectors.
So data space is, could be defined as an ecosystem of data, where data is shared between the different organizations. And this data is actually residing in the organizations themselves. You're not really putting the data on any specific place in a centralized infrastructure. Data spaces are by nature decentralized. And one of the key aspects of data spaces is interoperability, of course. The data needs to interoperate with other data. And secondly, you need, as a data space or a data owner, you need to retain the control of your own data. So you have to keep in mind which usage this data is going to have. So you have to define certain usage policies so that other people use your data, but you always know which usage they are giving to it. So you define the usage policies, you define the consent management, for how long you want this data to be used, the business model that you're going to get from sharing that data, for instance. The main challenge that we have here are, of course, interoperability, as we mentioned, because data right now is in most cases defined in PDF or Excel files. So they are not in linked data or RDF or anything that could be machine readable, let's say, so you have to go through an initial process. We do not have enough vocabularies, so sectorial vocabularies. So if I wanted to set up my data space in, I don't know, industry, yeah, I would have to reuse some of the vocabularies existing, but some of them are not really adopted. So this problem here. With respect to the public sector, the public sector has made a lot of effort in defining this open data. Of course, open data, in a lot of cases, the data there is also in PDF or Excel sheets or CSV, so really not interoperable. And what we have here is data spaces can share data, you can use data, and open data is data that is available out there. So data spaces are usually private initiatives, while open data are public initiatives. However, that doesn't mean that both initiatives cannot survive. So the data spaces could actually collect data or harvest data from the open data repositories in order to improve different values, different services, different products that the companies are developing.
Okay, no, that's clear and that's interesting, and that touches also a bit already on adoption. How can we ensure adoption of these technologies of data space, which is not one technology, but how do we ensure the adoption of this goal in the public context, taking into account also the different members' countries' cultures and maturity and preferences?
So one of the initiatives that the Commission is now working on is the development of SIMPL. SIMPL is a middleware platform. It's supposed to be this abstraction layer or intermediate layer that is connecting different infrastructure, different data sets, and different participants. SIMPL comes in 3 flavors. SIMPL Open, that is going to be the open source middleware. That is going to be, let's say, generic, covering a lot of use cases that could be taken by anyone that is willing to adopt a data space. Then we have the second flavor, which is SIMPL Labs, which is the experimentation facility. SIMPL Labs is going to be running in different places, still to be defined, where you could actually test it and see how it works. And then finally, we have what we call SIMPL Live. SIMPL Live is the sectorial implementation of the different data spaces. For the time being, we have 6 studies that are currently being developed, but those additional ones will come in the future. SIMPL Open will be open source, and we are looking forward to have contributions. The code is going to be on code.europa.eu/simple, so anyone is welcome to go there. Since SIMPL Open is going to be horizontal, in the sense that, as I said, it covers a lot of the sectors, we do not expect that that this is restrictive to the different member states or different cultures. It could be applicable to anyone. But as I say, since it's going to be open source, we're willing to receive any kind of comments, any kind of contributions from different member states, taking into account or providing us with contributions of things that we might have missed.
Yeah, that's very promising. And can you share the timeline on that?
Yes, so we released the POC actually for the SEMIC conference. So we had a demo yesterday. It was a very short demo with 2 functionalities: the onboarding of a participant, which can be the public administration and private sector, for instance, and the search and the adding a resource in the catalog. We have the MVP, so the minimum viable product is going to be released at the end of the year in December, and the code is going to be available.
Okay, thanks for sharing that.
The project as such is going to be 3 years long, so it will end in 2026.
Okay, yeah. And then we'll end with a broad question, but I'm happy to pick your brain on this one. Because looking ahead, what emerging technologies or trends do you believe will make a significant impact on data spaces, also on interoperability in the next 5 to 10 years? Very broad, but then maybe a second, more concrete question to that is, how should organizations prepare for the future?
So the first one is actually a very philosophical question, as you said, because there are many issues that are still unresolved. So interoperability, there are many layers of interoperability, and one of the challenges that we find ourselves in, for instance, is when defining or when looking at ontologies or vocabularies, whatever, the mapping that can be super cumbersome. So here it's where, for instance, artificial intelligence could come into place, because they would be able to clean off all of the data or clean and do all the mapping for ourselves, so we didn't have to do it. We wouldn't have to do it manually. In terms of data spaces, we still have to revolutionize the whole thing, because data space is a concept. So far, there is nothing really in the market yet. So that's what SIMPL is trying to do. The second question was, how
can organizations prepare then for these kind of
So I would say it's not so much on the technological advances, of course it is, but it's more on the strategy. In the case of the data spaces, the main goal is to identify which data have value for you, for your organization, and that can be shared so that it can also benefit other organizations. And from there, how can you make new business models and new business services? So yes, there is a technology point of view, of course, because you need to have the technology baseline, but it's more on the strategic point of view that I think it's the challenge.
Okay, but this was very insightful. Thanks for replying to these questions, and I wish you the best also in the SIMPL endeavor in the coming years.
Thank you. That will be much needed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Leire.
Thank you very much.